Oh, holy shit. It's starting again. Here we go. Wow. Oh, that's hot. Oh, oh, oh man. Holy shit. So that's really getting to it. I'm getting the evil out. Holy shit. We're gonna get out of here within the minute. Oh, heat and cold. Holy shit. Holy shit, that's good. Oh man. Holy shit. And so, wow, it's like, it's a study. I said, I need something to study. There was a communication that allows me to now study and get away from the dangers of the situation. And I'm like, demonic energy. Also trickster energy, because in a sense it helps. It finishes off, ties off the situation, but also tells me that there is evil on this earth. And it affects some of the nicest people, whether they're young or a little bit soft in the head or whatever they are. And in this case, fitting perfectly well in an environment quite capable of needing out sexually abusive energy and destructive energy to a well-known customer myself. So I can study it from many angles. Oh, man. I'm just moving around. Right, getting her done. One more cold one. We're almost there. Let's go. Got a good dose. We're good. We get out of here. Get some more water. Oh man, good job. Good job. Good heating. Good heating. Yeah, great job. Great job. Better than a job. Perfect medicine. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Good job, man. Perfect medicine. Hey, 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 all right. All right. One more to go. Let's go. Okay. Good job. If you only knew right now the satisfaction and what was inside of it, you could just listen to my sigh and know everything you need to know about the world. Just look at my drawing of Beth. If you were a true doctor, this would be your doctor's exam for anything but real medicine. Just to make everyone safe for me and you. That you could learn everything you need to know about human suffering. Because I make myself in the way to knowing that. And to maybe teaching someone else at the risk of being called a pathological jerk, I'm doing everything you should be doing. And don't just take pathology, mind you, from me. Fucking learn something, for Christ's sake, and have some fucking modesty. That if the word crazy comes to your lips and you think you're a scientific person, you're missing a few fucking DNA strands, motherfucker. Because I know what the fuck I am. And I know my mother and father. And they gave me my name, motherfucker. And it is sound. There are more ways than one to insult my intelligence and my mother's mound. Remember what feminism tells you about insulting the mother's mound. To make us all safe from each other. By not insulting the mother's mound. Because I do everything I can to stave off the insults to my mother's mound. Motherfucker, hail the fucking lesbian. The only decent women that are left. Bong, check it out. Bong, check it out. And I did spells today, and Raven went right over me, and I said, for protection of my mother, and it had a very extraordinary effect on the day. In a subtle sense, what people call the Creator talked to me today. In a way where I was most vulnerable. And came to my heart, and it was just like, that makes everything okay. Okay. Hallelujah. No, forget that. Raven magic. Raven magic. Raven. Gotta get in there. Oh, very hot. That's okay. We will live. Oh, first part is the hardest. That second immersion has this critical, icy. You get in there after one hot bath, and next thing you know, you're steaming up a second one, and you know without a doubt, as soon as you plop in, that you had to do this. That you would have been sweating or get a kind of weird, sweaty, hot chill, kind of like a hot chill at 10 at night or 1, and maybe you burn it off, and then like 3 in the morning, you're like, there you are, running a hot bath. Because you know your body won't be happy. And now that you know, and you have that knowledge, you know that that's the only thing you can do. So you get into this bath with relish, because as hot and uncomfortable as it may be, it's doing what it needs to do. And Raven, as uncomfortable as this week has been, this is an example of Raven magic supreme. Raven touched my heart and kept my mother safe when it was dark. The Raven has heard my heart and kept my mother safe and my father in the dark. In the dark. Da 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 da. Get my head in quick, let's do it. There we go. Oh man. Good job. It's hot. Good job. Excellent. Okay. So we saw Raven magic today in a big way. Thank you. I am so blessed. Oh, okay. Finish off that heat. Oh. And we're done. We're on the home stretch. Feet are hot, that's a good sign. Okay. Don't want to hurt the heart, this is good. It confirms the purple fairies, they've been around there all day. You're safe. So Raven magic and nature magic have heard my heart. Heard, not hurt. Listen to. More than anything presumes to listen to me. like the mother and father that will always sound to me. Okay. Protected as a newborn child by my first mother and father. Raven magic and geese magic today. Okay. Okay. Good job. Just pick up a little less of that heat and here we go. One. Make sure not to kick anything over. One. And here we go. Raven magic, geese magic supreme. Kept safe and cradled as a dream. An infancy. An infant dream from sun to sun has kept me safe in the darkness. My magic is proved sound, though you may know it not. I should know it. The magic has been proved sound. We can now study the magic. For the magic has been proved sound. Very sound indeed. Sounds of nature. And other sounds out of my own mouth. Talking to each other in ways you can prove to yourself. The signaling system and the equinox are working together. Although together is not a good word. They're working, man, they're working. In every way that I need and you need, the world needs. Because perfection is what everyone needs. And don't let me get in the way of it. Yeah. Let's sit down now and calm ourselves. Okay, you see the long, really safe side. Okay, I'm really want you here. Let's go sit down. Shall we? The TP in a similarly conical shape, protected by nature. So have I been protected with the medicines of the raven, the geese, and all kinds of other subtle signaling, and I've enjoyed these weeny weeks that have not weakened me. And so they have distinguished themselves, that my labor is still painful and torturous, as though their very spirit have yet strengthened me in like kind. I do declare it so. That was a sufficiently hot bath. Oh, I did it. It's actually quite strenuous and quite necessary and quite hot and quite chilly all at the same time. So, woo, that'll clean you out. Oh man. Here we go. There we go. Over the hump. Woo! Raven magic. Ah. Woo! The raven has actually come in and dwelt among my enemies. Eat your heart out. Okay. And raven has been a prominent medicine in my books. Really helping every day in very wonderful ways. Right. Nature has smiled at me rightly. Purple fairies. Everything there for me. Still scary, but they're walking beside me through that valley of doom. Just kind of like made from all the human suffering that all of your shock and other human shock can fathom in a kind of contraction that seems like you're about to die every now and then for days or months or years on end. You know, what doctor are you going to go to then? What doctor are you going to go to then? When such suffering lay end to end. From friend to friend, from sea to shining sea. Perhaps you shall come to me and visit my videos and say, he's not so bad after all when you're really sick. Because owl medicine cuts to the quick. Raven magic. The trickster. I don't really think of myself as a trickster. But every medicine can be worked with as though one's very own. But that's our heritage. I don't mean like pretend something that's out of proportion with basic human ethics or anything, unnecessarily indigenous in its appropriation power, but still, things that are worthwhile are worth making your own. So, but that is unfortunately something very different and problematic in the white world. To know how a native person might say something to the effect of, this is my land and all these medicines are mine. In a way that a white man might have trouble doing because of the way he talks about owning things and what that means to him in many relevant ways, but also what it seems to always fail to mean that we could discuss and to remark upon in a history and a litany of many unfortunate human and often white on native violence and murder. Just, you're looking at biblical shit here that happened on Turtle Island. And the strange thing is that white people were attracted here by the medicine, but decided to engage for the sake of their healing in large-scale massacres for centuries here and abroad. And, something to think about. It's kind of like a part of one's education in the world. And you don't have to sit here or there and be this, that, or the other. It's just like, if you put it in these terms, you'll probably kind of comfortably or uncomfortably find yourself sitting somewhere with respect to, hey, I want to be, in the direction of the peaceful territory. I don't want to be unnecessarily perturbed by things that people have already sacrificed so much for. Why should we belabor the imagined grief and shock of people who would really rather just enjoy the benefits of mass human slaughter and sacrifice, of things that, if you may forgive me, are not a worthy sacrifice if we lose things we can't afford to lose, and then all of a sudden people can't fucking afford anything. And it doesn't matter how much you pay, you'll never get a decent education ever again. That is something to be concerned about. And I think, in deference to which, I think most people naturally supplement whatever education they have with, the school of their life. And I get that. And there's many different levels of facility of hey, this is my schooling, this is what I've learned, from my mother in the kitchen, my grandmother, and my father here in the workshop. Not that, women can be in the workshop, men can be in the kitchen, whatever, learning the culinary thing. What about grandchildren learning culinary arts from their grandfather, and grandmother, or their lesbian grandmothers. So that'd be great. I'd love if I had 2 lesbian grandmothers, 4, 10 of them, and they'd come over and be like, hey, Landon, I'm just be loved by 10 lesbians, and they'd visit me and bring cookies and be like, it's okay. You don't have to apologize for being a man. Don't let those women beat you up. They're just horny sluts. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Oh, you're putting words in their mouth. No. Well, if I had lesbian grandmothers, I would be better at this. Unfortunately, I don't. And they would say wonderful things to me, and they just have the best energy, and I'd be like, you know what?
I don't even want to use my penis on a vagina. I want to have it removed and sent away as something else that Jews are not allowed to eat. What do you say? I don't know how I worked in something anti-Semitic there, but I think that's borderline. That's borderline. Anything with the penis and Jews is probably not a good idea. But penises seem to be a big part of the world, more or less. You know, I think I don't think it's like the world is just so penile because it's like some big conspiracy. I think it's penile because it would be, and the people who run the world know that. They know that it's always going to be penile and vaginal. Whatever world we construct is going to be penile and vaginal. It may be the vaginal is repressed, it may be the penile is repressed, it may be a million concrete and steel penises jut over the earth before people say, that's too much dick for anyone. And an earthquake will come along and flatten trillions of dollars worth of Japanese real estate, and everyone else will be like, whoopee. But I ask you, what but the feminine makes every one of those buildings possible? And the very nature of geometry means the measures of the feminine. What about the strength of water? What if the strength of steel is related to the strength of water? What if things of the sea and of water and of the feminine are somehow part of all engineering and science, all magic, that you could scarcely get away from it? You could never get away from it. It was like, fuck, it's still there. you know, you could go into the sea and up in space, into the hereafter, and you'd be like, fuck, what is this shit? Oh, it's the sacred feminine. Oh, all right, you can eat it. It's water, it's food, it's life, it's every reason that joy and its measures should be sacred to you and your people in ways that don't have to make fucking sense to anybody and could just make every cloud a little bit brighter and every day a little more vivid for every child, man, woman who had any kind of torture that they no longer needed to live with because, by and large, by the thunder of fucking mighty Odin, they were done. And the raven had come and the geese had come and the songs of relief to things that they maybe couldn't name, but that doesn't mean they're not real. That doesn't mean that contractions cannot be suffered, which you can't imagine, but I can be tortured by. And your interest in giving it a name that fits within your sense of reality is going to fucking kill me, right? Careful what you call other people's suffering. I've learned that a lot of suffering comes from places you would least expect. And it doesn't mean that this, that, or the other is such a fiendish ghoul, but that, where the true suffering is at is where the true healing is at. That's owl medicine. That's raven. Where the true suffering is at is where the true healing is at. You want to get to the nature of disease? You got to go and find out what is really causing the suffering. And you have to be open to anything and anyone. You're not looking to kill, hurt, maim. You just want to know what's happening. That's your sacred office. Not this, that, and the other. Not tell anyone what to do. Because quite frankly, you probably can't anyway, so you fucking shouldn't. And there's a sanctity. You want to know shit, you can't fucking push people around. Okay? You can't. But if you look into the real nature of things, you, like myself, you might have to fight not saying things because you just know something that nobody knows and you know somebody's suffering because of it. Because you have. And you wouldn't believe it unless you'd gone through it yourself. Under the category of how humans you know and love can make you sick and can suck the life out of you. And there's something to be said for our ability to often put that into other terms that sound better and maybe even make us feel better to an extent. And I would never disrespect the power, the magic, and the medicine and the relief that comes from doing that and goes into doing that. Just because it isn't heroic and oh, you're not solving the problem, you're not solving the problem. There's many of the biggest problems in the world. We have to kind of silently endure them until the right moment. You don't have to be oh, you don't know the real suffering, oh, you're fucked. It's you don't have to know everything about what causes all your suffering in your life. But you can know, if you so choose, that it's something that can be found and sought out and can take more or less a long time. And I apologize for that. It sucks to have to do it. But it does. And if you're of that nature, at least, there's like, I can only offer the fact that, I would commiserate with any number of millions of humans who suffer the most anonymously. And if I could leave one thing in my legacy on this earth, that would be a way to join up those voices and step aside from everything that people think is knowledge and science and civilization and medicine, and no disrespect to anyone, and just go actually see what these people could teach us if we had a mind as open and great and not certainly empty, but full of the purest sort of essence of a child. And now think about what's really hurting people. If you didn't have any guile and you didn't worry about, saying the wrong thing. And it's like, his mother is choking the life out of him, or his dad is introducing disintegrating energy of a somewhat demonic nature that seems highly compatible with relatively psychopathic people in the area doing a pretty good job of acquitting themselves of their obligation to live under an intoxicating level of the suspension of disbelief because of many things that basically are part of the logistics of civilizations. Who the fuck cares? And that's life, and go on with it, and evolution's a bitch. But no one ever really puts it that way. But that's basically it, right? Do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry? Do you really want to hurt me? There's not one word of me that wants to die. Dun, 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 dun. Listen to the doves fly. Dun, 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 dun. My name is a symbol. It is the word for great sex in every language. Go big, go often. But don't go in front of a police officer, or a Catholic nun, or anyone else who wearing a habit, or a uniform that might dispose them to lower their inhibitions about giving you a cavity search or saving you from hell, which are roughly equivalent. Now, you didn't see that coming. That's what she said. That's what he said. Maybe that's what somebody's saying right now all over the earth. Oh, maybe nobody's saying it. Thought experiments that mean nothing. How many people are farting right now, and what is the PSI if you were to take that and add up all the PSI of those farts? Would it be like 250 million PSI? Could we do some serious damage with that? If we get people to get special canisters and collect their even slightly fecal tinged anal ejaculations, as we might call them, kind of get people going, as it were, and then have all them send all those canisters to some central location, the way people sent all their gold in the 1920s or something, and to save the Fed or something, and then we'll, like Ghostbusters, pump them into a giant machine which will collect all this PSI and then unleash it upon our enemies. It'll really be a psi attack, because it'll be like 250 PSI of people's anal sacs. Imagine what that would smell like. And people all over the world would be like, hey, let's experiment with Indian cuisine. It'd be interesting what cuisines people choose, and they start eating too much, pay them per canister, just collect it, and they're like, oh, we've reached our limit, everyone. Stop sending your canisters. We don't want any more of your canisters. And then private companies would be like, we want your canisters, send them in. We've got all kinds of new ideas with your almost shit gas. Almost shit gas. It makes your lawn grow and your neighbor unconscious. Shit gas. You release it out of your window on the highway, and the guy behind you doesn't know what hit him. There's all kinds of uses.